Canadians do pay the highest cell phone bills in the world, and yet you stood up again and didn't say no to the Rogers-Shaw merger.
That's not true.
And at the end of the day, you could have ended this merger. You could have stood up to the government and said, this is our red line.
Welcome back to Moose on the Loose. My name's David. In today's top stories, we've got Jagmeet Singh getting absolutely grilled about corporate mergers. We've also got the CBC dishing out juicy, big bonuses after they just laid off 141 people. Let's jump into this. So our first top story here, we got CBC paying out 18 million in bonuses after cutting off hundreds of jobs. You can see here, they eliminated over 200 vacant positions, laid off 141 workers. Then they went on to award bonuses to 1,194 employees. And of that, 45 were executives, which got $3.3 million in bonuses with an average of $73,000 each for a bonus. This is ridiculous. This is our taxpayer money funded to these guys who are woke and paid off the corrupt CBC media. Going on here, it shows 10.4 million was paid out to 631 managers, while 4.6 million was distributed to 518 other employees. So remember Catherine Tate, she was questioned about this and she did a lot of humming and hawing and just kept on saying, it's the board. The board will decide, not me. No, I've got nothing to do with this. Yeah, so Catherine Tate comes into the CBC, becomes the head of it, takes it into the ground, and she's still getting a bonus paid by us. So it's time to defund the CBC, and really the CBC just needs to go out of business at this point because it's the CBC, the corrupt broadcasting corporation. Bloc leader Blanchette actually had some words on this as well.
I want to get a lot of money for myself, and in order to achieve that, I will make it so that the shareholders will get a lot of money. But if you work for the CBC or public society or the government, how do you justify a bonus? We want to compete, so we have to get the best and pay the best way possible. Against whom is CBC competing? They have all the means, all the tools, all the money, all the production of their budgets that they could dream of. And yet, let's add a lot of huge bonuses. I'm not very comfortable.
I don't usually agree with this guy, but I agree with him here. CBC is just corrupt, overpaid. At the very least, just stop paying our tax dollars to the CBC. They can try to run their business without it. Next up, we got this here. It says billboard spotted in Toronto area. It says 1.2 million newcomers. Let's make it a little bit bigger here. In 2023, only 188,000 housing completions. The math does not work. Obviously, we all know that math doesn't work. Trudeau knows that math doesn't work, yet they're still continuing to do this. Maybe this has something to do with Justin Trudeau owning a real estate development company with his brother. Maybe that's what that has to do with. A lot of people coming in, demand goes up, property value goes up, real estate development company goes up in value. Who knows? Who knows? This post here, downtown Toronto, you can see more public praying. Now, there are plenty of mosques for people to pray in. That's what we do in Canada. You want to practice your religion, you go to the church, to the mosque, to wherever. You don't do it in public walkways in the streets. That's not how our country works. If there's an emergency and somebody needs to get to the hospital right away, these people, by doing this, put those people at risk. That's why you're not allowed to do that. I'm guessing these newcomers did not read the rule book of Canada and what our laws are. Maybe they should refresh themselves because this is not allowed.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
This very much seems like a show of power. Look, we can take over your streets. That's what that looks like to me. This is not respectful for the rest of the city. It's just disrespecting people of Toronto. Even looking in the comments here, this is a display of dominance and nothing more. The big problem isn't them, it's our government being complicit and allowing this to happen. That's exactly it. They should just have police officers come in, take these guys out, or call it out in a megaphone. Hey, you're not allowed to do this. Not sure if you know the rules here. You got to go to your mosque. You can't block the streets. If there's an emergency, you guys would be putting someone's life at risk. That's it. But our government doesn't care about us. They've got the police under control, doing what they want and not supporting us, not for our best interest here. So next up, we got this clip here. It says $17 for deodorant in Canada.
You guys peep this. This is how I know Canada is officially going downhill. $16.97 for deodorant.
Not even like some fancy herbal handmade deodorant. It's just Old Spice. Gentleman's Total Body Old Spice deodorant, $17. But what do you even say to this stuff anymore? The majority of Canadians don't even use deodorant. Same on Amazon, $4. Our next top story, we've got Jagmeet saying he's brought into committee and he's questioned by the Conservatives about corporate mergers. And well, what do you think Jagmeet's response to this is?
Mr. Singh, you claim you're working for the fairness of people and Canadians, and you're here today to claim that you're standing up for competition. After your agreement with the Liberal government, that's now been over 2.5 years, there's been 3 mergers that have gone through. RBC purchased HSBC, Canada's #1 bank, buying #7 bank. Rogers bought Shaw, and WestJet bought Sunway.
Something to note about that. So HSBC is HS, Hong Kong, Shanghai, BC Banking Corporation, Hong Kong, Shanghai Banking Corporation. I believe this was a merger of Chinese banks, and now that's been bought out by RBC. RBC knows a lot of the big money they want is coming from Hong Kong, Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, all these big giant cities in China. They want Chinese money, and it makes it easier for them if they own that bank. Back when I was in the real estate industry, you saw a lot of these people funnel their money in because there's a branch in Hong Kong of HSBC. So they would just put their money in there, come over to Port Coquitlam, which is Greater Vancouver. That's where they have the HSBC branch. And then they could easily just buy houses straight through that. And the whole money laundering scheme that happened with that is they take their money from China because they're only allowed to export so much money per year, like 10 grand or 20 grand per year they're allowed to take out of China. So they would buy casino packages in Macau, which is technically part of China, but it's actually outside of China. And that's where they actually allow casinos because they don't allow casinos in China. So they would buy $1 million casino package in Macau. And then they would gamble a little bit, and then they would take their winnings or even their loss, say they only had $900,000, they'd convert that over into CAD and have them deposit it into their HSBC account. That's how they laundered their money out of the Chinese system into HSBC, fly over to Vancouver, buy houses. That's how they ruined our housing market going back about 10, 15 years. So it's no wonder why RBC wants HSBC so badly as a part of its collective group of companies.
Why did you not stand up for Canadians and say no to these mergers?
That's not all the case. We did absolutely say no to those mergers. We said it was wrong at the time. And not just saying that it's wrong, now I'm putting forward a bill that would prevent those things from happening. We actually put forward the amendments in the other bills that I noted to make it harder for these type of mergers to happen. We've been very vocal opposing mergers that hurt Canadians. I've asked questions in Parliament on these very matters. And we are now I'm putting forward a bill in my name that specifically would ban mergers that make up more than 60% of market share.
So, Mr.
And in
Singh,
addition, we've put amendments that make it harder for...
Wait a second, mergers that make up more than 60%? Even if you think about our big telecom companies, you got TELUS, there was Shaw, Rogers, you got Bell. Now that Shaw has been bought by Rogers, is Rogers even 60% of the market? Like, that was a huge merger, and they're probably still not 60%. They're probably like 30 or 40%. So 60% is ridiculous. That's basically saying one company owns the majority of the entire space, which really doesn't happen at all. So Jagmeet, once again, was just another bonehead idea.
So, Mr.
And in
Singh,
addition, we've put amendments that make it harder for mergers that are 30% and above.
So, Mr. Singh, you do have
So amendments for 30% and above. Really, if he wanted to be about this, he would make this 30% as the limit that one company can own of an entire space. But Jagmeet's got buddies in these companies, probably.
an agreement with the government. So at any time you could have ended that agreement. You could have included this as a stipulation in the agreement. And I think at the end of the day, we look at these agreements as useless because in not standing up for Canadians, these corporations have actually gotten bigger. When we look at HSBC and HSBC and RBC buying HSBC, even in Vancouver where you reside, HSBC had 10% of the book for mortgages. After that merger, interest rates went up almost 1%. More importantly, profits went up. Can you tell me, Mr. Singh, in this last quarter ending March 31st, how much more, what was the increase of RBC's profit versus the last quarter of December 2023? Just a number.
We are absolutely opposed to the type of mergers. And that's why we're putting forward a bill to do exactly that. So if the Conservatives are in support of these type of changes, I would invite them to support my bill, which would ban outright any merger
Mr.
that
Singh, just the
increases
number,
the market
please.
share
Just the
beyond
number.
60%. Support the bill. The bill is about ending these type of mergers, stopping mergers that hurt Canadians.
So, Mr. Singh,
For a long time, Conservatives and Liberals have ignored this problem.
the number is $1 billion. That's how much more profit RBC made in the first quarter of 2024 versus the last quarter of 2023. HSBC only made $300 million in that last quarter. So you can see what happens when mergers go through. Not standing up for Canadians means that Canadians are hurting. When we look at cell phone bills, and you've mentioned cell phone bills,
Just a quick recap there. That means RBC, by buying HSBC, was able to squeeze Canadians for an extra $700 million. On my RBC business account, I've noticed they increased the fee by $1 just this last year. And you think, oh, what's $1? But a couple years ago, it had no fee, and it was, I think they bumped it up to $5 out of nowhere. Then they add another dollar. Then they add another dollar. So it's at $6 now. But if you have 10 million Canadians who have that account, that's suddenly $60 million extra they're pulling in with just these little fees. The mortgage stuff is a lot more lucrative for them, as he's just stated there, is basically an extra $700 million.
Canadians are hurting. When we look at cell phone bills, and you've mentioned cell phone bills, Canadians do pay the highest cell phone bills in the world, and yet you stood up again and didn't say no to the Rogers-Shaw merger.
That's not true.
And at the end of the
We
day,
did say
you
no.
could have ended this merger. You could have stood up to the government and said, this is our red line. We're not going to do this. And what's happened since then is that Rogers and Shaw both benefited. But maybe you can tell me, Mr. Singh, how much more, and I'm going to start with this. The Prime Minister that you support said in the House of Commons that cell phone bills went down by half. He said that. He said cell phone bills are down by half. So I'm going to ask you just a simple question. How much more in the year ending, March 31st, 2023, did Rogers make, and this is wireless revenue per user, than the year prior? Just the number.
We firmly oppose the Rogers-Shaw merger. I asked questions in question period directly to the ministers and to the government. I've been on the record. I don't know if the member ever asked a question on this ever. I've asked questions on this directly.
I've asked questions on this. Yeah, come on, Jagmeet. That Shaw-Rogers merger should have never happened. It's ridiculous. You can't have two giants coming together. It's already a monopoly.
The Prime Minister said it's wrong. And I'm putting forward a bill that we're discussing right now that would protect consumers against these type of mergers. I'm literally addressing this matter in a law that we are talking about right now.
And Mr.
So
Singh,
if the Conservatives are interested in, which is news to me, protecting consumers, then they could support my bill, which would ban mergers that increase market share beyond 60%.
And Mr. Singh,
I oppose mergers that hurt
Mr. Singh,
Canadians.
you're talking
and
to-
we've got bills right now, a bill in front of this committee that would exactly do that, protect
and
consumers
Mr. Singh,
against
you're
mergers.
talking to the competition critic, the shadow minister for the Conservative Party, because our leader decided competition was that important to put someone in this position. And when we talk about where you could have been, you're actually in another position. You could have stopped the government from approving these three mergers, which have hurt Canadians. We say, it's a walking contradiction. You're standing up for these corporations who have only got bigger.
I'm not
since
standing
you've
up for
been
them.
power,
I'm
and
opposing them.
consumers have lost less power. We're not seeing the prices come down. We're not seeing competition in, and you presented a bill, and we presented lots of changes. Even you and I had the both efficiency defense change that this government stole from us that was there, but you're not standing up for Canadians, and Canadians feel that you've sold them out. They feel that
not at all
you're
the
not
case.
standing up to the corporations. They feel that they're not going to do it.
That's
So
not at all the
people
case, sir.
they only trust actions match word. Mr. Singh, the other
Yeah, people only do trust action. Sellout Singh selling us out again. He's got his big corporate buddies. His brother's in the big corporate business there in grocery. Sellout Singh.
pushing for in Canada is open banking. If we want to talk about taking a chunk out of the banks in Canada, open banking would do that. In the UK, when open banking was implemented, it saved the average person in the UK $400 a year. There's no transactional fees, no monthly fees, no overdraft fees with open banking, and it's only with 14% market share. And this government has 6 years to bring legislation to this government. They picked a regulator and only gave them a pittance, $1 million to get the regulations in. This regulator, FCAC, was just in front of a Senate committee. Do you know how many of the 27,000 complaints that they answered since 2019? Can you just tell me the number?
So it's interesting. I mean, I'm literally saying to the member, that we are opposed to large corporations ripping off Canadians. I have opposed the mergers. The member knows that very well, knows that I've stood up and opposed it. I don't know if the member himself has ever asked a question on this in question period, but I have. And I can say further that I noticed that the member has not asked a single question about the corporate greed in grocery stores. Is it because
There it is.
your leader has...
There's Jagmeet. He's going right for that corporate greed in grocery stores. He's working hard to do a good job for his brother who's the lobbyist.
Been a receiver of the max donation from the CEO of Metros? Is it because the corporate or the conservative strategist for the party is a lobbyist for Loblaws? Maybe that's why they're not willing to talk about corporate food in corporate grocery stores, but I am. I'm ready to take them on. I'm ready to take on all corporations when it comes to ripping off Canadians.
Thank you, Mr. Singh and Mr.
First off, Jagmeet's an absolute fool. Jagmeet, we can see right through you, man. Like, you're just sellout Singh. Just say it. He should just stand up and say, guys, I want my pension. I'm a greedy man. Just say that. You'd get a smidge of respect, Jagmeet. And second off, open banking. Open banking is when your information is shared with third party. It's like approved third party members. It makes banking a lot easier and less restricted. But of course, in Trudeau's Canada, everything just comes right to a halt, just grinds to a halt and nothing happens, whether it's the energy sector, building new roads, we don't need any of those, and banking, except for corporate mergers. Those always go ahead in Trudeau's Canada. Next up, we got this here. It says in 2014, Justin Trudeau said Canada's temporary foreign worker program is a force that drives down wages. It is. Across the country and takes advantage of vulnerable people from abroad. 10 years later, he has more than tripled the number of temporary foreign workers from 60,000 to 200,000. Justin Trudeau has quite literally done the exact opposite of everything he said he wouldn't do. Next up, we got this one posted by Table Salt. You can see a graph here. It says 3.2% of Canadian mortgages have balances of $5 million or higher. 13.7% have balances of over $1 million. So it's fine as most of these mortgages are held by MPs, senators, and CBC employees. This savage comments. This can't be true. What kind of residential mortgage is $5 million? Looks like the data has commercial mixed into it. As this guy's pointing out, this is uninsured mortgages, so insured mortgages would be lower. Next up, we got this posted by Pierre Poilievre. It says 1,400 Trudeau towns, homeless encampments in Ontario last year. Trudeau and Fraser spent billions on housing photo ops and bureaucrats to replace homes with tents. Yeah, we're sitting here with Ontario having 1,400 homeless encampments. I saw another fact where it said in California, they've got a population of 39 million, so basically the population of Canada, but they have like 125,000 homeless people. But Ontario, something like 240,000 homeless people, yet the population's only 17 million. It is really bad. I mean, when you've got 1,400 Trudeau towns across Ontario alone, this one province, we never had tents in this country. Trudeau has just destroyed our country. That bonehead has got to go. Speaking of Captain Schmuck, we've got a clip here with him debating against Stephen Harper in 2015.
Have we not revoked the citizenship of people convicted of terrorist offenses against this country? This was a bill put forward. This was a bill put forward by a member of Parliament who is himself an immigrant, Devinder Shori. This is not the standards we expect. Immigrants, Canadians, all of us who are here expect that we would have a minimum bar that people would not, people who come here would not be guilty of trying to plan a terrorist attack against this country.
A Canadian is a Canadian, and you devalue the citizenship of every Canadian in this place and in this country when you break down and make it conditional for anyone. We have the rule of law in this country, and you can't take away citizenship rules if someone does.
Individual question, the individual question is convicted of planning
should be in jail.
terrorist work ever against this country. A few blocks from here, he would have detonated bombs that would have been on a scale of 9/11. This country has every right to
we are
revoke
not a country
citizenship.
dominated by fear.
Gentlemen, say true.
Of law and
We're a country of law and rights coming from Justin Trudeau. This is unbelievable. So Harper is basically talking about taking away citizenship from the garbage people that come into our country. I am 100% for this. If someone comes in and they turn out to be a T-word person, get them out of the country, take away citizenship, just send them out. We might as well send them over to North Korea and let Kim Jong-un deal with these people. Why would we keep them in our country and then keep them in jail where we have to pay for them to be in jail? It's stupid. Trudeau really showed his hand here. He knew what he was going to do the whole time. This guy's had a sinister plan from 2015 that he's been slowly enacting over all these years. Probably got Klaus Schwab nibbling on his ear. Oh, Justin, execute my plan. You just know Justin loves the little nibble on his ear. Klaus. Maybe Justin's recent weight loss and his crankiness is because Klaus Schwab is sick and he's stepped down. He doesn't have Klaus nibbling on his ears. Got this posted by Naya. It says the crazy part of CBC, no one realizes not only do we pay for it with our taxes, we also pay for it part of our television package. We pay for the CBC twice. So CBC earned $50 million in subscriber revenue in 2022. We're not going to go through all these numbers, but yeah, they basically have it wrapped into a broadcast package. I don't watch TV anymore. I'm just on the internet, on YouTube, Netflix, that kind of thing. I don't have cable. It's been probably 15 years since I've had cable, but I know a lot of the older generation still keeps cable around. So yeah, paying for CBC twice. This post here is funny. It says probably okay, developers are going bankrupt here. Mark this post. So you basically see GTA, Greater Toronto pre-construction condos percentage sold. And yeah, basically from 2022 dropping off a cliff here to now. Like, this is really low, dropping to 40%. People are not buying, people can't afford. We used to have the rich immigrants come into the country, and often these rich immigrants were highly skilled. That's why they're brought in. They had money and the skills. They were doctors and engineers. These people made our country better. And they didn't oversaturate our country because our immigration level was pretty low, our birth rate, all that lined up. We were a little bit under with the amount of houses being built versus immigration and Canadian births. But now Justin Trudeau's bringing in just the lowest level people, taking all the low level jobs without any skills, just taxing and burdening our system, our healthcare, our schools. We're getting nothing for it, essentially just an artificially inflated GDP. That's it. So all these people that he's bringing in, they can't afford to buy places, which is why you're seeing this fall off a cliff. People are selling their homes and moving to other countries because Canada has become a terrible place to live. But there is hope. We've got this here. New poll shows Pierre's first place in Quebec. That's right, he's ahead of the block in Quebec. This is unbelievable. Would you have ever expected this in Quebec? The conservative movement is just growing stronger and stronger every day. Ryan Garrettson posting this clip here, which is absolutely hilarious. This is a legacy clip that Trudeau's never going to live this one down.
What he is proposing to do is to make Canada great again. That is not what Canadians want. He is fighting for a nostalgia that, quite frankly, Canadians do not feel. What he is
Yeah, Canadians don't want to make Canada great again. That's right. We want to make it as terrible as possible, right, Justin? Look at their faces in the back when he says it.
do is to make Canada great again. That is not what Canadians want. He is fine.
She's like, wait a second, what did you just say, Justin? This is an interesting graph to look at here. It says G7 countries, real house prices. And well, you can see here, Justin Trudeau takes office here. Jagmeet Singh begins to support liberal minority government, and kaboom. But if you're looking to move to another country, Japan, houses really cheap. Their birth rate is staggeringly low, that their population is just completely collapsing now. They got too many houses. Jumping over to my group, let's see what memes we've got today. Can you see the difference? Thinking hard. Now, where did I put them crayons? So next up, we got a post here where Justin Trudeau visited Nova Scotia, and you can see all the RCMP on all these rooftops. Crazy. Yeah, what's the bill for that? Common sense in the 1960s, bad speech in the 2020s. I'm a father, I'm a he. I'm a mother, I'm a she. People who still support Justin Trudeau. I won't use someone's pronouns for the same reason I won't talk to someone's schizophrenic's imaginary friends. Canadians want to know, what has Justin not screwed up? Good question. I guess his only claim to fame here is the green Luigi. If that's what you're into, he made that available to everyone. That's basically the only thing he hasn't screwed up. And if you don't like that stuff, then he screwed it up. Canadian Heritage Minutes, giving the $10 million check to Omar Khadr. Okay. Canada, a once beautiful country, is now the holding tank and septic bed for the rest of the world. I couldn't have said it better myself. The worst of the worst are coming here, all thanks to Trudy, Captain Schmuck. Trudeau hasn't done it himself, though. He's had Jagmeet there the entire way. Jagmeet questioned on the mergers. All he had to say was bringing up corporate greed in grocery stores. Jagmeet is a one-trick pony. That's all he's got to say. He's just holding out for his golden pension. Now, the question is, as soon as March comes around next year, is he going to call an election? Or maybe he just sniffs Justin Trudeau's butt all the way till October. Time will tell.